Robert Dunt, arttop10.com, and here I am at Michael Craig Martin at the Royal Academy. Let's go inside and see what happens. Like this moment, that's actually Michael Craig Martin walking behind me into his exhibition. Oh, witness, Anakin Tom just walked past me. He was a tutor from City Girls London Art School who chatted to. He said to me, he liked my paintings when they're in black and white because they're like text, they're like important thing. In the Michael Craig Martin exhibition, had a little quick gallop around, and actually looks really good. Fills the whole of the sort of Royal Academy area. You'd have the summer exhibition inside. It's a massive exhibition, lots of massive works, lots of kind of murals. Interesting, and I think what is actually very interesting is this first room, because I assumed he must have started out differently to the big sort of colourful pictures we all know, and that would indeed be the case, which is quite fun. Interestingly, on the wall he's described as one of the key figures in British conceptual art, which, well, certainly by the more recent pictures, the sort of more colourful, straightforward ones, I wouldn't have thought you'd necessarily say that. Just whipped through some of the interesting bits there. He's developed a wide-ranging vocabulary of everyday items, including safety pins, light bulbs, takeaway coffee cups and laptops. And his concern lies in understanding not just how we think and feel about the world, but how we perceive and experience it daily through the language of images. No, he seemed to actually start out in America, and then he moved to London in 1966. So his first iconic work seemed to be an oak tree, which is up here, which is, it's a glass of water on a glass plinth, basically, which is kind of cool, isn't it? Basically, so the glass of water is accompanied by text declaring that the artist had transformed the object into a tree. With this uncompromising statement, he challenges the perceived roles of artist and audience in making a work. I don't think that's true. It's just kind of clever. Why does it challenge the roles of artist and audience in making a work? Write down below if you understand that. I don't understand it. I mean, surely all works are made in the imagination of the audience. I mean, every single Picasso work is kind of finished in your head. Anyway, and another one of his earliest is Black Book, which transforms two mundane items into a work of art, which is this one here, which is equally interesting. I have to say that, that is, cardboard and tape. The Black Book, I think, well, it may have been a book, but it's basically a sort of geometric sculpture called Black Book. I don't think that, anyway, I don't think that transformed two mundane items. They don't actually look to me like they were books. Potentially they were. It looks to me like they were pretty much constructed to build this, even if they could be described as books. Anyway, interesting start to what's here. And you got this big kind of fancy bucket hanging from the ceiling. I wonder what that's called, actually. I do not know. Is that this one? No, this is a box that never closes. Studies from an oak tree. What is that? That's just like, so that's quite interesting, actually. Can't really see it on the GoPro. Studies from an oak tree is just a print of the little glass of water. Got to be said, his work is incredibly commercial in the sort of later current stages. Beautiful, big, colourful things. People could claim that it is wall furniture as opposed to art. And I'd say even from the start, he's got a very good eye of how to do stuff incredibly commercially, because he's done his oak tree glass thing, which you're not really going to sell, are you? Maybe not when you're starting out. You're not going to sell it to a gallery because it's an idea, really. But then you've got this, which is like a print of little glasses on pencil and red pen on paper. Yes, okay, sorry, it's not a print, actually, it's a drawing. But so you found a way to sell your conceptual art, which is interesting. Right, as ever, I can't film every single item in the exhibition. I'm just gonna, because there's all sorts of reasons and stuff about overusing the images, etc. So I'm going to sweep around, give you a good sense of what's happening, and hopefully I'll give you an idea of what this is like, and you'll get a sense of what I think of the show. And this room is quite interesting. All these little things, 4 complete shelf sets. The bottles of water. Interesting. Okay, so that was room 1. I'm going to pound into room 2. So, in here, you're still working on image making and ready images. Began working in pictorial representation, image making, seeking a new way forward. It's interesting, you've got these seem to be shutters, don't they? He seems to be wrestling more with like abstract art at this point. How to do abstract art in a new fashion. His work with found object continued with pictures in pictures. Oh, this is where inserted paintings found in London flea markets. Oh, into canvases. Oh, that's quite interesting. From a distance, when I looked at them roughly, I thought these were, I thought he painted them, but no, these are pictures he's found in flea markets and stuck into the edge of a picture. And then in the following decade, ready-mades. So he created a series of wall works using Venetian blinds, playfully questioning what we perceive as painting. And then he began to paint similar abstract works dominated by solid colour and patterns of white dashes. Oh, such as over here. That's quite interesting. Okay, so that's quite cool. You've got a little progression. So you go to where he's doing these kind of things where he finds something in a flea market, sticks it on the canvas, moves into these where he's sort of fighting with how to do abstract art in a contemporary fashion, then ends up painting these, which are very, very sort of stern abstract art paintings. It's quite interesting. It's tricky to work out. It's quite how he moved from one to the other. They were the first. That was the first instance of his emphatic use of colour. Intriguing. Right, so in what appears to be the third room, wall drawings and sculptures, this kind of seems to reference stuff that was in a 1978 landmark exhibition at the Rowan Gallery, where he debuted large-scale wall drawings, influenced by Duchamp's prefabricated objects and Warhol's focus on pop culture. So he was using recognisable items that were more famous and famous. But what's actually more interesting is instead he chose a 3/4 view, showing each object slightly from above to emphasise its 3-dimensionality, which is quite interesting. Okay, so this is an extraordinary jump. This is actually, and sorry, some of them were like this one, wall-mounted sculptures using thin metal rods. Oh, and sorry, the other thing that was interesting here is he sought to remove the artist's hand so as to reflect the impersonal character of mass-produced objects. Possibly. I don't know. I think it just looks good, basically. So these are a couple of the sort of wire things on the wall, but obviously what's most striking in this room are these big sort of wall. I suppose if you're a conceptual artist and you suddenly start producing things on a canvas, it looks a bit too commercial. You've got to start out putting it on the wall like this one. I mean, you got to say, it's pretty funky. It is pretty funky. Also, there's quite intriguing things like that light bulb bottom left-hand corner is absolutely massive, same size as a giant globe in a chair. And the ice tray is also a weird size. I mean, those things are clever. And this, weirdly enough, makes me think of Julian Opie. I suppose Julian Opie is a maybe natural progression. And then you've got just those muted colours, those reds and blacks. And it's striking, isn't it? You got to say, if you went to a gallery and saw it, it would blow your mind a bit. Everything's so big and simple. It's not overworked, not overused, not over-confused. It's kind of simple, but also striking. Now, what's in here? Now, these are smaller works, drawings and prints. Drawing is central to his practice. It includes independent works of art as well as studies for installations. Draws with a particular crepe tape, invented for electronic circuitry. Interesting. once again, it makes the work stylish. Well, that's just not true. Obviously, it's got a massive style. I mean, you can see it's his style, these things, so they're not styleless. Does it eliminate the artist's hand? Well, exactly. Even here it says, attempting to make his work style-free, his creative style is recognizably his own. In the 1990s, he got his cursed computer, allowing him to manipulate his images in terms of scale, like colour and composition. Then he started working with printmaking. Okay, slightly harsh, but I think once again these things are the more commercial aspect of what he does. He wanted to make some money out of what he was doing, as well as just produce something that was clever. And anyway, that should not be wrong. Why should you not make money as an artist? You shouldn't have to live in misery. So I mean, I gotta say, I do like these. The crepe paper's quite interesting. Oh look, that's got an interesting collection of Julian Opie. Fascinating. So I was just saying, it's a bit Julian Opie. That's because he bought them all. Okay, he bought one of them. Right. Oh, these are cool. Look at that. He's used that crepe paper with amazing dexterity to create these images. I mean, I suppose what I do like about them is I like all the little objects. I like actually seeing the objects made into something far simpler. I used to love tracing books as a kid. And to me, these all have a feeling of like traced images. I do like traced images. There's something weird about them. They sort of, they just get to a sort of simplicity and essence. Sound a bit pretentious. Maybe it's more like Aristotle saying about, like you said, they were like sort of things existed in the ether. So, a watch itself would exist in the ether as a thing. Anyway, if anybody knows the proper description of that, do you put it down in the text at the bottom? And interestingly here, he's got some of his sort of shutters done as drawings, which are far less interesting, aren't they? So at what point and why did he suddenly change into doing items? I do not know, but it is very intriguing. Right, let's keep chunking on. Looks like in the next room we're going to get to what you would think of as his classic kind of big, colourful paintings. Fantastic, isn't it? This mega room of his works makes me feel completely dizzy and totally insane, in all honesty, but that's probably a good thing. I think when the art makes you feel mental, it's a bonus. Like that giant tape, I could just go completely balmy and run screaming up and down this art gallery. It's just too weird and it's too giant, and it makes you feel like the whole world's sort of imploding and caving in on itself in a deeply weird fashion. Don't know why everything's blue around here. It's just weird, but I feel astonishingly vertiginous in here. But it is not a bad room. It's absolutely stunning. But yeah, I think good art does do that. I remember going to see a Sigma Polka exhibition at Tate Modern, having seen David Blaine outside in a glass box. I had to run out of Tate Modern. It was too weird and blew your head too heavily. So yeah, standing in here makes me feel completely mad. I do like that big red one down there in the corner. Well, I nearly went completely balmy and fell over. Right, anyway, let's just look at this one with the guitar. So this seemed to be about the 1990-93. It says, his output was dominated by those site-specific installations like the one we saw in the last room. Then he came into the more traditional medium of paint. So these things are, then he started using aluminium as it was flatter. So these are acrylic on aluminium. Does he paint them himself? I do not know, actually. Interesting question. Or does he, like Bridget Riley, does he have somebody who helps him do it? Okay, so the question is, I don't know. They're funky. I like them. I can't disagree with it. Funky Puma shoe, headphones, travel bag. It's everything you've used or do use or look at. Close up. It's up. It's weird. It's painted, but it's so flat. Can't tell actually how it's done, which I suppose is part of its skill. When you can't tell how it's done, it is an intriguing thing. Light bulb. I mean, that's pretty funky, isn't it? And again, if you look at it closely, you can see like there's it's like pitted black around it. It must be masked off. Or is this same tape he uses in drawing used in those as well? Either way, you got to give him credit. Massive, stunning paintings. He said the use of the computer helped him enlarge things. I don't quite see how, but it's very interesting. Very interesting indeed. I like that one with the umbrella and the guitar and the grapes. I don't know why. I particularly like it when you've got things like the guitar, so they're just sort of stripped down to their bare essentials, or that tape recorder. This one, like this one in the middle, is that just far too jumbled and crazy? Are they better when they're more subtle? And things like the self-portrait, I don't know. I don't know if I think that's a bit dodgy, really. I mean, it makes your eyes go a bit crazy, but I don't necessarily like that so much. Either way, it is quite stunning, frankly. And they're so big and vibrant and mind-blowing, you can't really moan about it. That would be kind of miserable and mean, frankly. In the early 2000s, he embarked on a series of works to explore the relationship between text and image, developed a visual alphabet where every letter linked to an object. An umbrella represents the letter A. Then the overlay of drawings of the objects correspond to the letter, visual plans in there, but also did these split paintings where he just combined two different things. Gotta say, I like these paintings. I think they're pretty cool. You got all that jumbly craziness of, I think these are the ones we're talking about really, these sort of jumbled crazy ones with the lines and the letters and the things. These are the split paintings, which, I don't know, they're kind of fun, but those gibberishy ones are quite gibberishy ones. I mean, I like these. I mean, visually these are beautiful, aren't they? I think you got the big thick bits of paint, and you got those little stringy lines over the top of it. It hops around in front of your eyeball quite nicely, and you'd get up every morning, you look at that, and you'd be kind of chirped up. But I can't help thinking that these 6 ones are actually the best in the room. They're far more subtle and interesting. It's not so much jumble in them, you can just appreciate them more. I mean, I really like that laptop. That's kind of cool and funky, and the chips with the black and the green, excellent. I do like these a lot. Corkscrew credit card. The credit card is actually quite funny and clever. I think it's they're quite interesting. You got a nice bit here with sort of jumbly bits on the wall that go over the pictures. They're fun. I like the simplicity of those ones in particular. We're now going to wander into this next room, older masters and modern design. So, frequently cites artists and works of art that inspired him. So he's paying tribute to the things he liked, like Velázquez's Las Meninas, etc., all those sort of things. Gotta say, these ones I think are a bit dodgy. Don't like them as much. There's like too many colours, bit of a jumble, bit of a craziness. They're all sort of jingle jangled and around the colours. I don't know, maybe it's good the colours are sort of irritating or unsatisfying, but whatever it is, I don't particularly like them. I don't know what it is. They don't seem to have the, I think it's stuff, I don't know, these over here, these two are much better. They have more simplicity to them, and I like the simplicity of these things. I like the simplicity of that chair. And these are quite clever, where he's mixing Magritte's pipe, Jeff Keynes's bunny with like chairs. That's was interesting. Is that a brutal criticism of art, saying that other abstract artists just like design? Be a slightly weird thing to do. Let me know what you think. Anyway, not my favourite room. I don't. Oh, these ones I just don't. I don't know. If you'd reduced the colours, it would have been better. Anyway, let's stroll on to the next one, see what happens. Recent paintings. This room, as it says, he intends to make us aware of the ways in which we perceive the world. Works of art can be meaningful without containing readily definable meaning. Well, actually, I do agree. I 100% agree with that. That is one relief about these things. They do not have a boring story hammering you down, which seems to be a thing that certainly the British like about art. They're a bit more anxious about abstract art, about just looking at something for the pleasure of looking. That I agree 100%. I mean, look at those fantastic sort of violins and cellos and guitars and these drums. Those pictures are magnificent, just bouncing around in your eye. I like the laptops as well, they're cool. Then there's pictures of fruit, he said, because he would buy fruit during COVID. And a mask, blah, blah, blah. What did he say? Wants to make us aware of the ways in which we perceive the world. Wow, I don't know. What do you think? I don't think it does make us aware of. I don't know, maybe it does. I think it makes me more aware of the way I perceive art and the way I enjoy looking at visually dynamic things. I still think it's you're going back to seeing sort of stereotype, weird, ethereal. I can't get the right word. Sort of weird, ethereal. It's like for every actual guitar, there was like a guitar in the ether that inspired each guitar. It's almost like you're going back to a primordial version of a guitar in those pictures. That's how I feel. You're going back to this sort of weird, almost other dimensional experience of them. So I don't know, I'm not sure if it really, for me, makes you aware of the ways in which we perceive the world. I think it makes us aware of, I don't know, I feel it's more in your brain or your own spiritual environment what this is communicating. But I do like these paintings, they are so cool. Like sometimes when these ones like that orange chair and there's just a scrap of it, slightly frustrating. I like it more. I mean, okay, I like a lot of issue about whether you should ever use the word like when describing art. I find it more dramatic, coherent, effective and emotive when there's just either the single thing or there's a simplicity and overplay, like with these musical instruments where they sort of ricochet visually on your eye. It's still the visuals that gets me. Right, I haven't got a clue what's happening in here. I think this must be some kind of, you've got something about the planets, and oh, here we go. So you've got a bit of a film that hopefully I won't fall over as we wander through. Yeah, that's really weird and profoundly disturbing. That is absolutely mental. I feel completely mental. I can't actually stand it. Okay, so that room is actually kind of cool. It's kind of like a mad film. Of course, you can't see anything of me in here with the GoPro, but let's look at it again. But it is really genuinely weird, this room, and profoundly disturbing, but also kind of beautiful and mesmerizing as you watch all these flowers and things float around in your head. But it makes you feel really, really dizzy. Absolutely bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. Yeah, so actually it's quite cool, that film. Just makes you feel completely mad. Right, I think we're coming to this last room. So that means has used every single room. Yeah, he's used every single room apart from what would be through that door there. Oh look, George Michael, check it out. I'm a bit of a George Michael fan. Oh, that's a really weird picture of George Michael, to tell you the truth. Artist proof. Shame of permission. Ooh, I feel weird again. Right, so these faces are... I don't know necessarily I like the coloured faces. Obviously these are on big computer screens just to give you a bit of a different vibe to the whole thing. Just got to see here that actually is. This one's actually quite good. Quite like this one, it's better than the others. I'd say The Great Duke After Lawrence. That's quite fun. It's got less colours in it. George just looks weird, but I do love George. He's very cool. And also you've got quite funky things he's done to the walls and the ceiling in here. So, that's like a sort of, what is that? Like an iPhone on that door. Behind me there's like headphones on that bit there. And that's a glass of water, I guess, referencing his earlier works. Right, let's go back to the big room for a roundup. Overall, I think it's easy to say it's actually a pretty damn stunning exhibition, isn't it? Quite good. I mean, you've got to come and see it. Colour, mind-blowing, exciting. It is inventive. I think there's something more strangely deep and spiritual about the iconography and how it deeply affects us. I'm not sure it's about how we see things, but I do think the simplicity of seeing these objects is something weird maybe it is about how we see things. Maybe I'll go home and look at stuff differently, which is what you want art to do anyway, isn't it? I think it's really interesting to see how he started, to see how things changed. What you can't see is there doesn't seem to be a point where he begins putting like recognisable stuff into pictures. It just suddenly appears. Be curious to see if there was a sort of changeover period, or if he did just go bang one day, I'm going to do something different. Absolutely fascinating. Brilliant exhibition. Really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, what more do you want? And I do think it's nice that it's kind of abstract, but it's got stuff in it, but there's no stories. It's just, yeah, really, really cool. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah, I think you should definitely get down here to the Royal Academy to have a look at it. So, as ever, please like and subscribe so you can see more exhibitions and get more interviews with artists. And please, of course, also like and subscribe to my other YouTube channel, Travel Dog. Sniffing out all the best food and travel. And yeah, do go and check that out if you like. And so, a great exhibition. Come see it. Auf Wiedersehen, Bye bye.